I presume we can start. We might as well. So it's 7 o'clock, and one of the things you should always be is at least on time. Most people here are going to be doing some type of events this year. Can you show of hands who's doing cycling? Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Triathlon. All right. Other sports? Boxing, hockey, darts. Darts has gone really popular now for some unknown reason. All right. So I thought I'd start with telling you a little bit of background, but the easiest way to do it is, all right, so my background, I've been involved in the fitness industry since 1989 is when I really became involved in it and obsessed with performance ever since. In 2006, I was very lucky to be able to travel to Australia to work in the Sunshine Coast University, where we would work with a lot of the athletes from the AIS as well. And it amazed me how they approached sport. That on a Monday morning we would sit down and there would be a group there. You would have your psychologist, you'd have your physiologist, you'd have your coaches, your trainers, all sitting around in a circle. And then you would be told, okay, so such an athlete, a cyclist is coming in on Wednesday, and the question would be, physiologist, what are you going to do in the lab with them? Biomech guy, what type of testing are you going to do? Nutritionist, what are we looking at? Psychology, what are you guys going to do with them? And it was a brilliant way of building a team around the team. At the same time, I happened to see a documentary. Oh, by the way, just as people are wondering about the crutch, I got a hip replacement a couple of weeks ago, which is really good. There's a little button now you press it, it gives me an extra 50 watts, so we're all good. But I looked at a documentary, there was a documentary on at the time, and it was on a race called the Race Across America. I don't know if everybody's familiar with it, but basically it's a 3,000 mile bike race that goes from Oceanside in California all the way across the country and finishes in Annapolis. 3,000 miles, it goes day and night, 24 hours a day. Teams relay overnight in order to get across. The documentary showed a guy who was trying to get on the RAF team at the time. And he got all the way to the States with the team, and at the last minute they pulled the plug and said, you're not good enough to ride with us, and they kicked him off. And I went, ooh. And then I thought to myself, I wonder if I took 4 leisure cyclists, and if we trained them professionally for 6 months, could we get them to race across America? Could we get them across the country? And then the next question became, if we were able to get them across the country, could we break the Irish record, which at the time was set at 7.5 days. By the end of it, we ended up taking over 30 hours off the Irish record and doing it in 6 days and 4 hours. The documentary is actually up on YouTube called 14 States of Pain, because that's basically what we went through in the whole thing. But I work with a lot of different athletes from a lot of different sports. The system that I'm going to show you tonight, rather than just standing up here and talking about case studies, the system I'm going to show you works across the board. And it really works for whatever type of event that you want to do. So how do you achieve your goals in 2024? So this was the Race Across America team, 4-person team. By the time we actually got over there, we didn't just cross it inside the Irish record. We almost won the thing. We finished second. And we were 30 seconds ahead of the third team coming in after 3,000 miles of racing. And if you watch the documentary, you'll realize that one of the things that, or one of the reasons why we managed to finish in the 30 seconds inside was to do with traffic lights. We took every single component of the sport and broke it down as much as possible, right down to if there's a set of traffic lights and it's red, you're slowing down as you're coming into it, so there's no foot down. As it goes green, you accelerate. If the light's green, you go for it. And if you watch the documentary, you'll see that we actually, I'm spoiling it now, but if you watch the documentary, you'll see that that's one of the reasons why we do it. I have been there 4 times. I've actually raced it myself as well as part of an 8-person team. Again, with the 8-person team on this one, normally with a team, you would have a team of riders, you would have a crew that also comes, including the first year we brought a chef, you can have a physio, you've got your drivers and your navigators. In 2015, I wanted to prove that you could actually take just 8 people with no crew whatsoever and rotate them 24 hours a day. So if you weren't riding the bike, you were driving. If you weren't driving, you were navigating. And that's what we did. So again, same system to set it up. Involved in different sports. First world champion I ever worked with, was a guy back in the day. Some people here wouldn't remember, too young, but the first guy was a guy called Steve Collins. I think I worked with him for his last 3 fights. I like this photo for 2 reasons. One, it shows that even around an individual, you have a team of people that work with you. Second reason why I like it is because this is me with long hair, which is completely gone now. But again, it's that whole idea of building a team. I'm currently the high performance director with the Rally Academy of Ireland, Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy. So working with all the drivers and navigators, and again, building a team from fitness experts where we do testing in the likes of DCU, through to nutrition, psychology, and we've built a team around it. Some of the success that we've had within the last year has been William and Liam actually winning the junior WRC, which is very exciting because we will have the WRC coming to Ireland for 2025. But anyway, that's not why you're here to hear all that. What we're looking at tonight is hopefully by the end of it you'll have the courage to sign up to any event that you're going to do, and also then how you maintain motivation. Hands up here who's actually heard me speak before? No? Oh, a couple of people. All right. That's all right. Okay. So from cycling performance elements, if you're a cyclist or even a triathlete, there's a couple of things to think about. A lot of people think about their sport in terms of it's just about endurance. Get on the bike. And for many years, that's kind of why you were told, just go out and just keep riding and you'll be fine, or just keep your training up. But there's actually 4 different components, which I'm not going to go into a huge amount on, but you have physical fitness, so you've got your endurance, your strength, your speed, your suppleness or your flexibility, and then obviously core strength. But then you also have the mental fitness, which is a big part of it. So things like managing your pre-event anxiety, so if you're feeling nervous going into events, how you'll do that. Confidence within a bunch, so quite often, so my background, although I'm in sports science, I specialize in the mental fitness end of it. So I look at the 5 C's basically: confidence, concentration, commitment, control, and courage. And I can't believe I've remembered all 5. Normally, you get through at least 4 and then one will escape you. But the way that mental fitness works is similar to physical fitness. That's how I see it. So in physical fitness, you might have the 5 S's: strength, speed, suppleness, stamina, and skill. What happens is you go to your trainer or your coach, and your coach or trainer will test you to see where you are at the moment on each of those components. And then they'll design a program saying, we want you to build up your strength, or we want you to build up your stamina or your flexibility. And they send you away and you train for a few weeks, and then you come back and you see how much of an improvement you've made. That's how physical fitness works. Mental fitness is no difference. So in terms of, we might say, oh, look, I want to improve my confidence in descending, for example. I've worked with many athletes right up to professional level who may have a crash and it's playing through in their mind to the point where they're actually slowing down too much within races. So confidence is a big part of that. So much the same as physical fitness, we say, let's look at confidence. And then we test you a little bit to see where your confidence level is at the moment. We design a program, we give you some exercises, send you away, and then you do those exercises for a few weeks, and then we have a look to see how much of an improvement you've made. But also, the components of cycling, you're talking about skills or technical, so cornering, how much time you can actually make up, can you bunny hop, all of these skills. And then you have your lifestyle. Your sleep is going to make a difference to how your performance is. Your nutrition will make a difference, your pre-event sleep. So a lot of times people say to me, they're great with sleep, and then the night before they get really nervous and can't sleep. But there are things that you can actually do to overcome that. Throughout, by the way, if anyone has any questions, just throw a hand up and ask me, but we will be going through questions near the end as well. Down to your daily hydration, obviously, and your diet. Now, one of the things, if you really want to improve your sport, that I see is you take those components, if you want, you write them all down in a big list, and then just mark yourself out of 10. At the moment, where's your endurance? At the moment, where's your strength? Okay? At the moment, your confidence, where's that? And then you can just mark it out of 10, and then you can give yourself an action in order to improve that component. So you might say, I want to improve my confidence within a bunch, for example. So one of the goals that you might set yourself on a Sunday is you ride out and a friend might do something like you touch elbows or you rub off one another or you practice putting hands on shoulders and doing all of that. So that's how we tend to look to improve the sport. So if, and I will be asking questions to you guys as well, and please come back to me on this. So, what's the first thing you think you should do if you're going to take on an event this year? What do most people do? What's the first thing that people do?
Create a structure.
Create a structure. Yep, anything else? What else do we do? What's the...
See if it's realistic.
Yep, so, yeah, setting goals. So every year people set goals. Now, at the start of the year, people talk about, you know, I'm going to change completely. I don't really go for that. But a lot of times we set goals for ourselves. I'm going to get into the gym more, or I'm going to get out on the bike more, or I'm going to do a certain event. The problem with setting goals sometimes, and you know, one of my favorite athletes of all time was Schwarzenegger, because that's just the way it was. I think the first and most important thing is that you've got to have a goal. Yes, however, there are issues with setting goals. The first problem with setting goals is that it can actually make you a failure before you start. And what I mean by that is you haven't actually achieved the goal yet. So you have this thing that's in the future that you're looking forward to, but you haven't actually achieved it. So right up to that point, sometimes it can feel like I'm a failure. Or if you get there and you don't actually achieve it, you can feel like that failure. And that doesn't help you with your own performance. So the first issue is that it can make you feel like a failure all the way up to the moment that you achieve it. The second problem with achieving goals is it can be a moment in time. So think about it in this way. If we take this photo as an example, you might decide that your room is a mess and you're going to tidy it up completely. And you spend a whole day taking everything and putting it away into its little compartments, and you've watched something on the TV and they've showed you how to do this, and you think, oh, this is amazing. And you put everything away and it takes hours to do. Question for you, is it going to remain tidy for the rest of your life? It might, but chances are probably not. And so you've achieved your goal, but that doesn't actually mean that you've changed anything really. And quite often we do the same as well when it comes to sport. We get the yo-yo effect. So looking at where, I don't know about you, but I have a tendency to go up and down weight. I'm currently a little heavier than I normally would be. So you go up and down weight throughout the year, and one of the reasons for that is you set a target, you set a goal, you get there, and then what happens? The weight comes back on, so I'll be explaining a little bit about that. Actually, when I got married in 2018, and when I got engaged to my wife at the time, and we were looking at dates, and I said to her, maybe we'll look at maybe Christmas. Christmas is a nice time. I thought she might like that. A lot of people like to get married at Christmas. And she said, well, actually, March would be nicer. It's around my birthday. March would be a really good time. And I went, okay, we'll go with March. And then I overheard her talking to a friend who said, yeah, we're going with March, which is really great, because Al's always in much better shape in March than he is at Christmas, because the race season's starting. So again, you'll have these yo-yo effects. So we achieve it, and then all of a sudden we lose it. And the reason for that is because, again, we set the goal of, say, weight loss. We get there, and then it goes back. One of the other things you'll see is events. So people might say an event, Ladies Mini Marathon is a good example of this every year. It's an amazing event in Dublin. And I've done it 3 times. I did it way back in the early 90s when it began, because we wanted to motivate a couple of people. I had a gym at the time, and we wanted to motivate a couple of people in the gym. So I dressed up, skirt, the whole jobby, and went out and did it. But what you find is that people would train all the way up to it, which is in June, and then they just stop. Because again, they had it in their mind that I really want to achieve this. And you'll see this as well. You'll see people who start racing at the start of the season and then they drop off by the end of it. You'll see people who have an event in June or July, and they do that event, and then they actually stop doing their training. And again, the habit is so important. When I talk about habits, you'll hear me recommend a couple of different books. First book I'm going to recommend tonight is Atomic Habits. Hands up who's actually read Atomic Habits? Yeah, okay, a couple of people, all right. So Atomic Habits is the first book that I recommend, only because I really believe that people come to me a lot of the time and they go, I want to have more motivation, which is fine. But my belief is that motivation gets you started, habits actually create success. And so if we're to wait for motivation, we're screwed. It's nice to have it at the start, but how do we keep it going? I worked at a large company many years ago, a corporate group, who had spent $33 million on designing and building their gym. And at the end of the year, they had a 15% retention rate. 15% of the people who had started at the start of the year were actually kept going. Gyms, if you're now, you'll make your money between second, third week in September, first, second week in December, and then probably the third week in January. Everybody thinks it's the first week in January. It's not, because it takes a while for kids to get back into school and you have to get the routine back. So third week in January up till maybe first week in April, because that's when most people are motivated and gets in, and that's okay. But that's not what creates success. Habits do. So we're going to talk a little bit about your goals versus systems, and James Clear again, goals determine your direction and systems determine your progress. So there's nothing wrong with setting goals, and I think everybody should. So you set a goal and decide what you're going to do, but really it's the habits that get you there, not necessarily just a goal. So it's the system. So setting goals has a focus on winning and finishing events, and building systems has a focus on continuous improvement. So your goal really for everybody this year is to look at how you want to improve. You sit down now, if I was talking to you in a year's time, sitting down in a year and you said to me, "Oh, the last year has been amazing. I've really achieved everything I wanted to do. I've created the success I wanted." What's changed? What changed in that year? What had to change in that year in order for you to create that success? So if we're sitting down in a year and you go, "The last year has been amazing. What have you done personally in order to make that happen? What changes have you made?" And that's a pretty good place to start, because that then gives you some of the habits that you're going to change going forward. So you're looking at building the systems. There's 3 layers of achieving success. You have changing your results. All right, so you set your outcome goal. That's changing your results. Change your habits and systems. And the biggest one, changing your beliefs. All right. If we think about it in terms of how this might work from, say, again, let's use weight loss as an example because it's one of the easiest things, and we already mentioned it. You might set a goal to lose a certain amount of weight. All right, so you've set the goal, you've written it down, I want to lose X. This year on my bike, I'm going to be doing Optiwez. And if you're doing Optiwez, it's mass times gravity. It's a good idea to lose a bit of weight. I should know. I've done it a couple of times and it's not pretty. So you want to lose a little bit of weight coming in and you put down your target for your weight loss. So what happens then? You put your plan together and you say, "This is it, I'm going to start." And you start your nutrition, you reduce your calories, you start eating a little bit healthy, and everything seems to be going really well. And then you're 2 weeks in, and then there's a party coming up, and then you break it. What happens then? We tend to fall back, or we can fall back into where we were. One of the reasons for that is how you see yourself in your mind. So what happens is we set it in our mind and we say, "I'm going to lose weight," and you start to lose weight, and then all of a sudden you come off it, but your belief system is, "I'm the type of person when I break a diet, that's it, I'm gone. I'm the type of person who can't stick to a diet. I'm the type of person who can't keep my training going." And so the moment we start to miss it, we lose it. And that's why identity is so important. That's why it's so important for us to say, "I want to be the cyclist. I am going to be a cyclist. I am going to be a triathlete." And you build it on that. And so again, if we look at here, again, taken from some of James Clear's work, outcomes on the outside. So we create the outcomes of what you want to achieve. Inside that are the habits. So this is the process and the system that you put in place in order to get you there. All right, so we change our systems and our habits, which sounds great, except for one small, tiny little problem. If the identity doesn't match what you're looking to do, then you can run into a problem where you actually come off and you stop continuing on with those habits and that system. So that's why it's important on that. I finish on this section before I come on to the next one and ask you guys some questions. I wouldn't be where I am today, forget that. Losing my leg also meant losing a major part of my identity. Okay, so the background to this story, I got a call one day from a guy called Simon Baker. Never met the guy in my life. This guy calls me up and he goes, "Hey, Al, listen, I hear you like big challenges." And I went, "Oh yeah." He goes, "I've got one for you. I want to break the world record in the marathon. And I said, well, you do realize what the world record in the marathon is? And he says, yeah, but I'm doing it on crutches. And at the time, the record was set at 7 hours and 20 minutes, which I think is pretty good. I mean, I'm on my crutch. I couldn't imagine doing a marathon on them at all, right? So he was looking to do the marathon. Now, his goal is to do the marathon, to finish it inside the time. The habits that we put in place, in other words, the training and the nutrition involved, it's a lot for anybody. If you take up a marathon tomorrow, it's a lot. But actually, where we made the biggest change here was not just to change the habits and the systems. It was to get Simon to start believing again that he's an athlete. He may have lost his leg, but he's an athlete. And what do athletes do on a daily basis? They eat well. They train. It's just what they do. All right? It's just what they do. That's it. It's just what they do. And so the moment that you start to create that identity, then it's not a big chore to go out and do training. It's nothing new. It's nothing different. You're just doing it because this is who you are. I am an athlete. This is what I do. And that can be any age. It can be any level. All right? I still prepare for a Sunday morning spin when I'm going out with a couple of lads and it's only for a bit of crack and we're doing a coffee stop. That's it. I still, the day before, have my bike ready. I still, the night before, have my kit ready. I still have my drinks ready for the next morning. I still do it in that way. Why? So my question is why? Why do I do that? Why do I take that as serious as I would if I was doing an event like Le Mans, which I've done? Why do I do that? Any suggestions? Why would I do that?
Habit forming.
Habit forming, exactly. It's a habit. Because the moment that I stop doing that, then I forget to do it when it comes to the bigger ones. So it doesn't matter what your event is. It doesn't matter whether you're going out for your Sunday morning spins. It's just the way I like to do it. I like to know I'm prepared. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. This is what I'm talking about. And once you start to do that, and your identity starts to change, and you go, this is what I do. This is just who I am. Then it becomes really easy. Well, it sounds really easy, but that's actually how it works, all right? So I thought I'd mention that. Okay. Now, I don't like just standing up here. As I said, I'd like to put you off into groups, and I see some people have notebooks, which is super. And if you don't have a notebook, you can use a phone and put down some notes, and it'll be fine. But I want to introduce you to the way that I set goals. And it doesn't matter whether you come to me. So I work with companies. I've gone into like some Microsoft. I work with big companies in the US. It doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur in a business or you're looking to do your first marathon or your first 100-mile cycle or your first marathon. It doesn't matter what you want to do. We still need some type of system. And for me, over time, we've kind of developed this one. It's called the Outcome Transformer. Why is it called the Outcome Transformer? It used to be called the what, the why, the why not, and the how. So that was the name of it. And then, of course, you start working with your business coach and they go, you can't call it the what, the why, and the why not now. That's stupid. Let's call it a name. And it became the Outcome Transformer. But basically, it's the what, the why not, and the how. So people will come to you and they'll talk about setting goals, and they'll talk about SMART goals. I'm pretty sure most people have heard about SMART goals here. SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, and useless. All right, because they don't actually do anything. It's nice to know, and that's fine. So it's much better to have some type of system that brings you from what you want to achieve all the way over to how you're going to do it. Now, I've actually changed this slightly from how to how/who. All right? And the reason why I changed it from how to how/who is because we have a tendency sometimes just to think about how can I do this? How can I achieve the success? But actually, sometimes you're better off having to ask somebody. Maybe it's a coach. Maybe you're good, I don't know enough about nutrition. Maybe I'm going to ask somebody about that. So it's how/who. So in the system, we're looking at what you want to achieve, why you want it, and the why not is actually one of the biggest things to this. And people have said to me before, for a guy who's into high performance and mental fitness and that, you're one of the most negative people I've ever met. And the reason why they say that is because I believe that, yes, being positive is nice. And I was working with a county team one time for the season. Manager brings me in on the first night. I'm sitting there and he's talking to the squad. And he says, lads, it's all about positivity. If you're not positive, you'll win nothing. It's all about positivity. And we have Alan over here, and Alan's all about positivity. He'll tell you about positivity. All right, you need to be positive. And so he's our motivational guy for the year, guys. All right? And then he introduces me, and I stand up and I go, 2 things. First, I am not your motivational guy for the year. That is not what I do. I'm a high performance coach. We're going to look at what you can do, and I'm your mental fitness coach. So we're going to look at, as I mentioned earlier on, confidence, concentration, commitment, control. And we're going to match it in or marry it in with your fitness training. All right? And number 2, you can be as positive as you like all day long and still win nothing. All right? It's not about positivity. It's about positive action. So it's fine for you to sit down at the start of the year and be positive about your goal. Absolutely. But what positive action are you going to be taking on a daily basis? Now, it's all great to say I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But we also know that there are challenges that get in the way, the why nots. Why can't you achieve it? And I've sat down with a world champion world champion boxer came in, sat down with me. And he says, so I've got this big fight coming up, and we're talking about it. And I went, great. What happens if you lose? And he goes, what? What happens if you lose? You might lose. And he goes, oh, I can't think of that. Well, it happens. Like you're fighting one of the best guys in the world. I mean, what happens? And quite often we're afraid to focus on what happens if we don't achieve something or don't. But we're still going to have doubts. You're still going to have doubts in your mind. If you don't have any doubts, if somebody says to me, I don't have any doubts at all, you're either lying or you're delusional. You're one or the other, all right? We all have doubts. And so with confidence, it goes along at a certain level and then it drops. Everybody's going to get a doubt. I will get a doubt standing up here, in front of you guys tonight. Before I get up here, I'll go, what happens if I get up and I forget to do something, all right? Or they absolutely hate me. So you have a small doubt that comes in. What makes the difference is the speed at which the confidence drops and you can overcome that doubt to keep going. That's actually what makes the difference between the top guys in the world and the rest of us. And as for motivation, because I mentioned motivation earlier on. By the way, the boxer sat there and said, well, if I lose, I'm going to get back into training. I'm going to have a rematch. We'll look at the fight again. We'll analyze what we did wrong. We'll analyze what we need to change, and then we'll get in, and it'll be a different fight the next time. I went, Grant, is that the worst thing that could possibly happen? And he goes, yeah. Well, if that's the worst thing, then we can take that and put it one side and now focus on all our energy on everything that we want to do in order to make us the best we can possibly be to get there. And this is the thing, that you can have an amazing performance and still not achieve your success. All right? You can also have a terrible performance and just about get through something. All right? And so which one feels better? And so it's about the performance. All right? So we're looking at the likes of that. The motivation I mentioned earlier on. Boxer, a week before a big fight, sitting in his hotel room, he's sitting there in a pair of shorts and his rain jacket. It's lashing rain outside. And he goes, 5 miles to do. And I says, yeah, I know. Now he's still got like 8-9 pounds to lose in the next few days. And he goes, no motivation. And I says, right, what is it that normally motivates you? And he says, I don't know. Like the fight, I guess, and looking forward to that. So I tell you what, you're probably going to lack a little bit of motivation between now and the fight. So why don't we come up with 3 ways to motivate you the next time? Get up, go out on the run, and while you're on the run, come up with, say, 3 ways that we can motivate you if we run into issues tomorrow. And the guy went, okay, got him up, got him out the door. He was running down the road. He said he was a mile down the road before he realized what I did. I didn't care about the 3 ways to motivate him the next day. I just needed one reason to get his ass out the door there and then. And so again, it's that idea of what is the small thing that we can do in order to move us forward. So the challenges, there are many challenges that can get in the way of us achieving success. And so we might as well face them. Wouldn't it be good to kind of at least put them down and say, these are the challenges, and be real about it? And if we do that, then we can come up with it. So if we look at a goal, how many people here have a goal of completing an event this year? Yeah, majority of people, or along those lines. So why don't we do this? Look, rather than me putting numbers on it, why don't we take the group here? You guys are going to chat in a minute, all right? So we're going to get together. You're now a team. You're team 1, all right? Well, let's take a group over here. We've got, why don't we take this group here, all right? Group 2. You can come out a little bit and chat to one another. Pick 5 there, so you've got your team there, yeah? You've got your team here, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah? You can do it. A little bit behind, all right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. Take 5 down there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll take a few over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Split off into your groups, and all I want you to do, and you can turn around and chat to one another, I want you to come up with the challenges that you face on a daily basis. What stops people from achieving the success? What can possibly go wrong? What's going to get in the way of you achieving your success this year? And people might say, nothing, because I have it in my head. I know what I want to do. That's nice, all right? But the reality is that certain things can come in. And even when it comes to event day, so we set a goal for the event. You're a week out, and we say, what do you want to achieve on the day? I want to do this, this, and this. So what might get in the way? Weather could get in the way. Maybe I get an injury before. So all of these small things. Get into small groups and let's have a chat. Pick somebody in your group to either write down some of the things on a phone or a notebook. Let's go. Oh, and you thought you were going to come in and just listen to me talk for an hour and a half. That's not going to happen.
I'm just described, so talk amongst yourselves. Okay.
And the rule, generally speaking, as well, is whoever writes doesn't have to get up and talk in front of everybody.
I've got the notebook, so I'm also exempt.
There you go, yeah. Very good.
Yeah, or other people saying if you don't do it in your own way, other people yeah, what's yours?
What are you doing this year? What'd you go? Great event. 3-1. Are you doing the full 3-1-2, or are you doing the? That's the plan. Brilliant. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Literally was going to say.
I will say I've only done the 167 now. In fairness, I haven't done the full 3-1-2 yet, but.
I don't know yet.
Typically written in groups with friends. People train with.
Yeah, training partners.
Not having training buddies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm only going to give you maybe 2 more minutes. That's all, really. I see people are moving on to the 4th page at this point. So you're looking at your challenges. What's going to get in the way of you succeeding?
Did we say injuries? Health injuries? Yeah.
Good. All right, we good? Last 60 seconds. It drives me mental. This image drives me mental all the time. Because no matter how much time you spend editing it and putting it all together, and then you go, first 3 crucial actions. 1, 2, 2. Damn it, the hell. I must change that. I have to change that. There's no doubt of it. Right. Okay. All right. There's always 2 ways. There's always 2 ways of getting attention with a group. It's always an interesting way of doing it. It's always there's 2 ways of getting attention with people when you want to do it. The first way is to go, right, and it brings everybody back into the room. The second thing, which there's a guy called Freddie Roach. Freddie's one of the top boxing trainers in the world. And Freddie trained the likes of Mike Tyson. You've seen Steve Collins earlier on. And so he would have trained the likes of those guys. And Steve said to me one time, when Freddie's working with you in the corner, what he actually does is he whispers. So you go, hey, I need to do this. He says, you find yourself leaning in to see what the hell he's talking about, which most people don't remember. So when you're shouting at somebody, they don't always take in the information. And so sometimes it's good to, whisper rather than shout. You get the same effect. Anyway, leaving all that aside. Okay, so this is the outcome transformer, what it might look like. So what are the results? And quite often we'll put down, anytime I work with people who are involved in sports, like a winning, losing type thing, the goal is always to win. Every boxer that comes in and sits down and says, what's your goal this weekend? No, to win. Every rally driver you work with, what's the goal this weekend? And to win or to be on podium. But actually the result as well is performance related. So what would you consider a great result from a performance point of view? If we were sitting down afterwards and talking about it, what would you do? And actually just on that, while I remember, if you really want to improve this year in your events and your training coming up to it, one of the best things you can do is sit down after each performance or after each weekend and ask yourself 3 very simple questions. What went well? What didn't go well? What did I learn and I'm going to do differently the next time? Now with the rally drivers, we've split it off into what tires were you using, what was the gravel like, how was your confidence, and so you break it off into that level. However, you can just as equally just answer those 3 questions. So when you go on a training ride, what went well for you? Were you hydrated? Did you enjoy what was your stamina like? Did you climb well? What did you really enjoy? What went well? What would you change the next time? Well, I definitely need to bring a second bottle, or I need to bring a gel with me. So it's something along those lines. But that would be my thing. All right, so we have the what. This part here, the why. This, although it looks like a very small thing, is probably one of the most important, if not the most important out of the whole lot. And why? If this isn't strong enough, you're not going to get out of bed in the morning to train. So your why has to be, why are you doing it? And it's okay to answer, just want to, because believe me, right, when you're doing things like ultra distance events, people ask you all the time, but why would you do that? Why would somebody ride across America? I'm very lucky to go to America with the likes of Donncha Cutras, who was the first Irishman to finish, and Joe Barr, who finished race across America as well. And so people ask all the time, well, why would you do that? It's okay sometimes to just go, do you know what? I just want to. Because quite often we use way too much energy trying to explain to people who really don't care. So stop wasting energy. Just go, because I want to. But you have to understand for yourself why. What are you going to get out of it? What's the thing that you're most looking forward to? Is it from a health perspective? Is it to be able to say you did it? Is it the medal? What is it? And so the why is hugely important, because that's what's going to get you out of the bed and get you from bed to shed, if you like, within the space of a small amount of time. So for me, the why is really important. Okay, so you have to question that. Now let's come on to the why nots. Just a word on that as well. Sometimes I'm working with somebody who say they have an idea, they want to set up a business. And they'll say, I really want to do this, but there's so many reasons why I can't. And I go, wait, let's list them. Let's put them all down. All right, or I want to do a big event, but there's so many reasons why I can't achieve it. And you go, why not? And they go, well, finance. Okay, finance. Why else? Time. Why that? What else? Family commitments. Okay, what else? And now they're starting to struggle. So quite often we create a lot of these barriers in our head that actually don't really exist. All right, we think there's huge amounts of reasons why we can't actually achieve it. And that's why it's so important to take something and actually write it down and say, these are the barriers, these are the challenges. And let's be clear about it. Now, I know that, and you've done really well on this, so we have a list. So we've worked together as a team to create some of these challenges. What's next then? The how. So let's list some of the challenges. I'll come over here and have a look at this. Let's list some of the challenges. So what have we got here? Just give me one of the challenges.
Generally, it seems to be a time management. There's structures in place, but it's a lack of either management of that time. or some general fears about wanting to opt out as the easy option rather than pushing it?
Okay. The time, does any group here not have time written down, by the way? No. I'm pretty sure you all have time written. It's usually the number one on the list, is time. And so before, when you work with a club or you work with a group yourselves and you go, right, from a time perspective, if I said to you I was going to turn up at your door, say 3 days a week, and we're going to do a 1 hour work, it's not going to cost you a penny. I'm going to get there, I'm going to ring the doorbell, we're going to either bring you out for a spin or we're going to do the course strength training that's required or whatever. How many people would actually make the time for it? And quite often people go, yeah, I definitely do that. You go, well, then you got the time. You just don't have the same level of respect for yourself as you have for me turning up to the door. And so you have to kind of think about yourself. So what I do is I put myself in the diary every week as a client. So I've got clients that I work with throughout the week, and somebody might call and say, can you do a session with me on Wednesday at 2 o'clock? I'm really sorry I can't. I've got someone. They don't need to know that the person I have is me. So schedule it out. That's one of the things I'd say on time. All right. What else? We're a big team here. What else? Give me another way of overcoming time. How can you overcome time?
Prioritize it over other stuff.
Prioritize, yeah. It's one of those ones where you start writing on a board and then you realize that, oh crap, it's a word that if I spell it really badly, it's going to be real bad. Right, so yeah, you prioritize it. You actually put it in as being important, and that's why the why is so important. Anything else? What else do people do here to manage your time? Yep.
Sorry, someone said certain lack of energy.
Oh, we have, yeah, we'll put down here energy. Yeah, energy, right? We'll come back to time in a minute. Energy. Your energy is absolutely vital in order for you to create success. Now, I hope everybody understands how training actually works. And so this is how it works, all right? You have this here. This is your starting point. And then you start your workout, you start training, and the whole idea is you break down muscle. Okay, so you start to break down the muscle. You do a really tough workout, you break down the muscle. Muscle is very clever, because what it does is it says, okay, you broke me down with this exercise that we were doing. It's going to take some protein, it's going to rebuild the muscle, but it actually turns around and goes, you're not going to do that to me the next time. So I'm going to rebuild it back stronger than I was. So what are you going to do? You're going to tear it down again. And then it's going to rebuild. And then you're going to tear it down again. It's going to rebuild. And there's your performance increasing. This is how we actually get better. All right? But this is actually where a lot of people come into me. They'll go, okay, I don't know what's going wrong, Al. I'm training, but actually I seem to be getting worse. And it's because they don't give the recovery time, and then all of a sudden then it comes down here, and then they don't give enough recovery time, and it breaks down, and they find themselves in that way. So they're doing more training than they've ever done. Their energy's on the floor, and they can't understand why. And we call that overtraining. And you have to be very careful about that. And I would suggest that everybody goes and looks into the overtraining. If you find that your motivation is going down, if you find that you're sore, a lot of the time, if you find your energy's on the floor, all of those things you need to be looking at. But this is not just physical. This can be mental. All right, so from a work perspective, you might have a heavy load going on with work. You have a big project to do. You finish the project, and what do? Straight into another project. And then straight into another one. And the stress starts to build up, and you'll find that mentally you're actually going downhill, never mind physically. So energy is vital in order for you to create success and to get where you want to go. So if we know that energy is important, give me some of the things that you might do in order to improve energy. How would you improve energy?
Get more sleep, go to bed earlier.
Sleep. Let me tell you something. Sleep is your absolute superpower. If you can manage getting sleep every night, everything else comes together. It's easier said than done, but things like if you want to improve sleep. If you want to improve sleep, I have I think on my phone every night it goes off at 10:15, boom, out. I can't take any notifications in from that, it just switches off. And it's set like that from that till 7:30 the next morning. It's just a habit that I get into. You set a routine every night. There's a brilliant book called Why We Sleep. I definitely recommend that if you're having issues with sleep. Simple little things like making sure that the temperature in the room is actually low, People who tend to have the temperature too high, actually it stops us from sleeping. If you find that you're lying there and you can't sleep, get up. All right, if you're there for like 15 to 20 minutes, get up, move around, do something, do a bit of reading or something, get back into bed. Don't just lie there. Anybody ever have issues with sleep the night before a big event? All right, I think we've all had that. And one of the reasons why this happens, by the way, is because coming into the event, we suddenly panic and go, geez, I'm up early in the morning, I better get good sleep tonight. And so you normally used to going to bed, say at 11 o'clock or 11:30 at night. Now all of a sudden, it's the night before a big event, you're going to bed at 9:30. You're lying there and your brain's going, what are we doing? What's happening? And so it's very difficult. That's why routine is so important. So if you find yourself the night before an event and you think you're going to go to bed early, at least for 2 weeks leading into it, go to bed at the same time. So that by the time you get there, your brain goes, whew, I know this, I've done this before. Everything is good. Stay calm. We're all right. But sleep is your superpower, and it is something that I would definitely look into, just to make sure you're getting it right. What else can we do from energy? One more thing, yeah. Eat well. Bang on the money. So nutrition is really important. Okay, so your nutrition is really important. Quite often people will come to me and go, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to get more energy, what should I eat? And I'll go, chocolate, cakes, buns, biscuits, all great, crisps, I love crisps, fish and chips, takeaways, Coke, particularly good, 8 spoonfuls of sugar in every can, well done. And they'll go, don't be stupid. You're never going to lose weight, and you're never going to have energy eating that. And I'm going, so you know what you should be eating. The issue is not knowing. This is knowing, this is doing. The issue is how do we shorten the gap between knowing what we should be doing and doing what we should be doing. And that's down to habit. How we actually start that habit. All right, so how we start that habit. So nutrition, good. So energy. Give me another, I was going to say excuse. I won't say excuse because that's really bad. Although they say we're born with a terminal disease called excuseitis. We can all come up with the greatest reasons in the world for not doing stuff. All right. So another barrier, another challenge. Injury, yeah. Injury. Hip, for example. Replaced 5 weeks ago at this stage, 6 actually. Again, if you're getting an injury, or if you're afraid of an injury coming in, do something about it. Make sure you're stretching. Put it into your routine to stretch. The other thing is, if you've got a major event, I know that you guys had mentioned the 312, for example, right? So it's a fairly long event. If you feel coming into it that you have an injury, like your knee is at you a little bit, or your hip is at you a little bit, or get it sorted sooner rather than later. Don't try to run, cycle it off or run it off, and get it sorted sooner rather than later. So again, prevention is much better than curing a lot of that. If you do get an injury, it can actually be really hard. All right, and I've written a whole article on it. There's 2 parts to it. One is the physical side of it, but actually psychologically, an injury can have detrimental effects on your performance as well. All right, so mentally, we tend to pull away from clubs or groups that we're with. And my advice would always be stay with that club. So, for example, if you know your club is going out for a group spin and you've been injured for a few weeks and you're not able to go out with them, if they're going for a coffee stop somewhere, jump in the car and go out and meet them. And you're still in there. Stay on the WhatsApp group. Still be part of it. I think that's vital to be part of it. If you do have an injury, what should you do? If you've got an injury to your legs, what can you do? Upper body. You actually become much better. I had a football player years ago came into the gym, knee injury, so he had to do a little bit of rehab. And we started doing weight training. This was long before, by the way, GEA players ever thought that weight training could actually help your performance. Now it's the norm. So back then we started doing things like upper body strength training. We started working on the legs a little bit. But he was shocked that when he went back out onto the field, fully prepared or fully ready from the knee, how lads were bouncing off him now. How much strength he had on the field in comparison. So we can absolutely have an advantage if we get an injury, because it actually gets us into the habit of training other parts that we wouldn't normally do. So injury, yep. Another barrier Another challenge. What else can get in the way? Motivation. Oh, I was going to do a whole page on that. Motivation. Yeah, let's do a page on that. Motivation. Okay. Can everybody just stand up for a second? I'm aware that everybody's been sitting down for like 50 minutes. Just shake out the arms, shake out the hands. I always like to get the hand shaking a little bit. That's great. This is terrible, by the way, for the video camera. That's out the back. It was great. Robbie, I arrived in here tonight, and Robbie goes, "Oh, by the way, we're recording now." And I'm going, "I haven't cut my hair in 6 weeks, so I haven't been out in 6 weeks." But anyway, right, just shake out the legs a little bit. Okay. That nearly fell off. We won't do that again. All right, and take a seat for a minute. Okay. Motivation. All right, hot topic, motivation. So how do we increase motivation? Give me some things that'll increase motivation.
Seeing improvements.
Somebody's faster than you.
Oh, sorry? Okay, let's hold on a second now. See improvements. So what I'm going to put this down is measure. Measure everything, all right? And I mean, like, measure everything. Sometimes what people will do is, like, they'll measure their VO2 max, they'll go in and get a lab test, which is fantastic. I like to go out on Johnny Fox's Hill, because I lived down in South Dublin for many years. Now I'm in Navan, which is amazing, because I'm not built for climbing. And it's much better going out on the Meath roads than it is out in the Dublin roads. Although I said that when I went out with a group in Navan, having not been out with them for a while, I mentioned how great it is not being up in the mountains. So we did 950 meters of climbing within 100k, and I thought I was going to die. So anyway, from the motivation point of view, measure it. Even if it's just measure how quickly you can go up a hill, train, and do it again. Measurements are, I think, really important. But multiple measurements, like what's your press-ups, what's your sit-up test. Multiple measurements, not just one. So you might find that you're improving in one area and not necessarily in the other, but it's always nice to see some numbers in it. I'm going to come to that one. Ride with people who are better. Controversial. Ride with better riders. Okay? It's really interesting when I'm working with, say, the likes of, if you start golf, so if you start golf tomorrow, all right, you've never played before, and you're into it like a few weeks, and what I'll say to you is, go out with good players. All right, there's a good reason for this. Everybody's listening to me talking tonight, and I appreciate that. Can everybody do this? Put your thumb up in the air. Put your finger in front. Put your finger and thumb together really tight. Tighter than that. Put it in your chin. Excellent. But this is, well done. This is actually your chin. And this is your cheek. So thanks a million for listening to me. I'm delighted you're here tonight. Right, but why do people do this? Why do people do this and rather than put it on the chin? Because that's what I did. And people have a tendency to do what others do, not what they say. So it's interesting, you take up golf, I say, go out with golfers who are better than you. All right? And then when the good golfers come to me, and they go, I don't know, my performance is kind of lacking a little bit, I'll go, for God's sake, don't go out with the newbies. All right? Because we tend to play with, and match who we're out with. So yeah, there is a point for actually being with people who are slightly stronger than you. They'll pull you along. Of course, what's the caveat to that? Yeah, you get guys that just want to rip you to bits, all right? And that's not good either. So again, monitor it going out. But yeah, I would definitely, we talked about identity earlier on, and professional riders and people believing they're an athlete. And when you start to believe you're an athlete, you start to do that. But one of the things that makes it easier for professional athletes is who are they actually with all the time? Professional athletes. All right, so, I've been very lucky in the past to work with teams like Evo Pro, with the likes of Morgan Fox, PJ Nolan, involved in that. And again, when you travel with these guys, when you travel with the team, and they're staying and they're training, they just train together. It's just a natural thing, and they get up and they all eat similar foods. But it's a mentality thing. It's not even the physical thing. They don't have to think about it as such. Are there times when their motivation is low? Oh my God, yeah. But what gets them out? Others. Others, yeah. So motivation. Other people. There's, I have a friend who'll drag me out, and there have been times, by the way, when I've messaged him going, are you okay? Are we still going out? And he comes back and goes, yes, of course we're going out. Okay. And I'll drag myself out and I'll go out. And then he'll tell me afterwards, he only did it to spite me because he didn't want to go out either. And if I had messaged him and I'm not going out, he wouldn't have gone out either. So again, getting other people involved in some way is a good way to actually stay motivated and be that individual. What else can you do to improve motivation?
So commit to the event, like book the event.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a really good one. One of the questions I heard over in this group is, so what are you doing this year? And people go, well, I'm doing the 312, or I'm doing the, all right, what event are you doing? And sometimes just verbalizing it, you put yourself in the predicament where you go, oh God, I actually have to do it now. So actually verbalize it. Race Across America, I mentioned earlier on, I didn't tell the whole story on that, how it actually came about. So I'm in Australia and I look at this documentary and I go, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. Years ago, I used to teach aerobics and I used to do some stuff on the local television station. I'm originally from Navan. I've moved back there now, but the local TV station. So I used to do aerobics with my spandex and my long hair and the whole lot, right? And I don't know where I was going with that. What was I talking about?
Race Across America.
No, I was, okay. So Race Across America, so here's what happens, right? I come back to Ireland, haven't been on the local TV in a while. I meet up with the guy who owns the station. We're having a tea and we're chatting away. And he says, look, have you got any ideas for a show? Because I used to do this show as well, where I go on every week and answer questions for fitness. And I sit there and go, Mary wrote in to find out how you, Al wrote Mary's story, but Mary wrote in to find out how you do X, Y, and Z. And so he said to me, have you any ideas about a show? And I said, well, actually, I have this idea about doing a documentary about taking 4 leisure cyclists and training them professionally for 6 months and getting them to do Race Across America. He goes, oh my God, that's brilliant. I'll do it. I'll set it up. We'll get the cameras. We'll do all of that. And he says, what are you thinking? I said, well, we're going to get 50 people into a room. We're going to fitness test them. We're going to get them down to 10. And then we're going to train them. And then every camp, every 6 weeks, we get rid of a few until we get the final 4. And he went, that's super. And I went, yes, it is. And I walked out and I never thought I need more of it. Until about 3 days later, I met somebody on the town who says to me, I hear you're doing Race Across America next year. I went, what? And they said, you're doing Race Across America. And I went, well, I had been thinking about it. And talk to Kevin, very excited. He's doing the whole documentary and everything for you. That's how Race Across America actually happened. Because I went back to Lorraine, my wife, and we went away for a weekend. I sat down and I went, so this is what's happened. I've had this idea. And the 4 words that scared the life out of Lorraine more than anything else is when I come up and go, I have an idea, because what actually means is I have the idea, but I actually need you to do all the work behind the scenes. Because we do, has anybody ever heard of Race Around Ireland? 2,200 kilometre non-stop bike race. So I own that event. We set that up after doing Race Across America, coming back and going, let's bring that to Ireland. But that's actually how it came about. So verbalising it, actually saying it out, can be motivational for most people. There is some research that now shows that actually you're better off you don't tell anyone. You just do it yourself. So you kind of have to work out a little bit. But yeah, absolutely verbalizing it. Anything else?
Can I just some
Yeah.
financial constraints as well? Because I mean, I suppose if you're working, it's great if you were plenty of time. I mean, it's going back in time, but I mean, you have put money in the food and table, pay bills, and I just think there's a guy I know, and all he goes is cycling. Like, how do you afford it? Because you still need to work.
Yeah, it comes down to priorities sometimes. It comes down to sponsorship sometimes. It comes down to all of those things, balancing it out. There are times, by the way, that you'll do this exercise and you'll get to the end of it and you'll go, I can't do it. And that's just the reality of it. Okay, what do I want to do? I want to play in the NBA. Why? Because I love basketball. It's my favorite sport in the whole world. Absolutely love it. What are the challenges? I'm 5 foot nothing. So there's a good chance I'm not actually going to get there. So sometimes there is that constraint. But there are times where you'll come up with an idea. So in 2015, I originally started with the idea of let's put a 4-person team in and let's make it a mixed team because I wanted to do something a little different going away. Couldn't get a finance for it. Just couldn't. I figured we wouldn't be able to raise the capital. So then we went, let's put an 8-person team together. So I came up with this idea, let's put an 8-person team together. But you're talking 8 people plus crew. That's actually quite a bit. So then I woke up one morning and I went, oh, this might work. Why don't we put 8 people, no crew? Why don't I approach a company who've raced and raced around Ireland before? And I say to them, you give us one of your guys from your company and we'll professionally train them for 6 months. And they can tell everybody else how they're doing. And that's how we ended up getting financial support. So sometimes it's just about coming up with that ideas. And yes, people say, if you really want it, you'll get it. I don't always agree with that, but you will be amazed how it does happen. Here's the thing about beliefs. I always think that your belief system, your mind, almost works the same as YouTube. All right? Okay, sounds like, what? YouTube. Think about it, right? My stepdaughter is she's a makeup artist. And so she started doing her own little channel and putting makeup on. And so came into Christmas and I went, oh, I'll buy her something nice for Christmas and I'll buy her a ring light. So I put into YouTube, ring lights for makeup artists. And I get all these ring lights and girls putting makeup on and showing you how you put makeup on. But it doesn't show me one video, it shows me those videos for the next 2 months. Because YouTube has a little algorithm built in that says, oh, you like this type of video, here's another one like that, and here's another one like that, and here's another one. All right, so it starts to show you things that you like. But your brain kind of works in the same way. Have you ever thought about buying a car, and you go, ooh, I think I'll buy such a car. I'll buy a blue one, light blue. What happens the very next day? Everywhere. Every car you look at, it's a blue car. I didn't realize there were so many blue cars on the road. I might not get blue. So again, our brain starts to go in search of reasons or search of things that compound our belief. That's why identity is so important. Because when you start to think, I am an athlete, each time you eat something healthy, you're sending a signal to your brain that says, you're right, you are. All right? So this is how this works. So you have to be very careful what you believe. If you believe you're the type of person who can't follow a diet, then what happens? The moment you go off and you have a piece of chocolate, you think, oh, I've sat with a boxer, obviously for weigh-ins. They have to be very on the button for the weight. I sat with a boxer one time, was coming into the fight, we're in the hotel, we're down in the restaurant. And he goes, get some chocolate cake. And I went, no, man, I'm not getting chocolate cake. And he goes, just get the chocolate cake. So I ordered the chocolate cake. And I'm sitting there with the chocolate cake in front of me, and I see the spoon come over. And he takes the smallest little slither off the front of it, and he just gets a taste of the chocolate. That's all he wanted, was just that moment. And so there are times, even at that level, from a professional, that they don't always follow the diet strictly. They don't always, they do miss training sessions. What makes the difference? They still believe they're athletes. So they just get back on it. They just eat healthier the next day. There's no, in the majority, and it should be like this, they're not guilty for that, for sake of a better word. All right? So that's how we would work on that. One more thing on the motivation. How else can we motivate ourselves going forward? One last thing.
Is that a reward?
Oh, reward. I think I heard Harrington talk about this in golf as Porsche therapy. That if you win a big tournament, you go and buy yourself a Porsche. So rewards. But what do you actually do on a daily basis, most of us? What do we do on a daily basis on our phones? What have I got on my phone every morning I might listen to? Piece of music. But music has been shown to enhance your performance by up to 10%. In fact, in the lab, we'll actually ban it. Within the lab, if we're going to be doing fitness testing on you, it'll make that much of a difference to your performance. So music, I think you should have a playlist for every part of your life. There's a playlist for going to sleep. There's a playlist for wanting to get up. There's a playlist for wanting to get focused in work. All right? All these little triggers. So music, I think, is really important. Okay, can we come up with one more challenge, one more thing, and we'll come together as a group to overcome it. Give me one more challenge. What did anybody else have?
Planning and preparation, the lack of it.
Lack of planning and preparation. Yeah. Prepare. So lack of. Yeah. people talk about confidence all the time, and yeah, I've studied things like hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming, and I've looked at the psychology and the sports psych behind it. If you want to gain confidence, and you want to be confident going into an event, by far, the number one thing you can do is just be prepared. There's nothing better than actually coming into an event knowing that you've done everything. That doesn't mean you're going to succeed. It doesn't mean you're going to get through it. It doesn't mean that you're going to always get your way on it. But be prepared going into it. And so the planning and preparation, actually physically writing stuff down. One of the things that I'll always get people to start with is very simple. And I'd like to show you on this, but maybe I'll send it out as a group. Is a list. So I was working with somebody doing Ironman for our first time, and we talked about lists. And she wrote down some of the things that she's going to have to pack to go away. And I think you should always have a list of everything, right? So in the back of my training diary, if you're not keeping a training diary, you're missing out. You should absolutely have a training diary from a daily basis. What type of training you did, how you actually felt, what was the weather like. I think training diaries are brilliant. I've had them since I was probably 15, 16. And still up to this day, I still keep training diaries. I use Training Peaks because I love numbers. Obviously, as a sports scientist, that's my thing. I like the numbers. But you still can't beat just writing it down. And in the back of the diary, I have a list of all the things that I'll bring if I'm doing a cycle, an event, so I can tick it off. So anyway, Ironman starts off with the list. Oh, you should see that list now, right? She did 12 Ironmans. And by the end of it, it's everything from bike gear, running gear, swim gear, holiday gear, meds and supplements, everything all laid out. And then, of course, what do? You have this list, and you might not bring them all to every event, but you have a list there. So you had this done in Excel, and you have a list, and you can just tick it off and say, I'm bringing this, or I'm bringing this, or I'm bringing this. And then you tick it off to say, I have it. And then, like, she would send me a photograph of her bed, and everything is just spread out all over the place and all over the floor before the pack. And I think this is absolutely vital. And working with one of the rally drivers, actually, William, he won't mind me mentioning this as a world champion now, but one of the first things we did was just create a list for going away to an event. What are you going to bring? And we had a conversation before one of his events back when we started working. And he was laughing, going, I'm a bit nervous because I really feel I've forgotten something, because it's the first time I've ever actually been packed like 2 days before and ready to go. But that's actually really important. So the planning and preparation, I think, is really vital. That would be my thing. Is there anything else that people would like to overcome, or another challenge that they think has popped up?
Just conflict, family, friends, pulling you away from what you're trying to do. Distractions.
Yeah, distractions and family and friends. I think one of the things that we lack sometimes, and again, I've had clients where I've said to somebody, go home and talk to your partner about it. Because sometimes we'll come up with an idea, but our partners actually don't realize how important it is to us. And actually sit down and tell them what it is and what you're going to do and how you might get them involved. And I've had people come back to me going, oh my God, it's amazing how much support they're giving me now. So the communication, I think, is actually really important. Is actually sitting down and saying, this is what we're aiming to do. Because sometimes it's just seen as a holiday. But actually, if you lay it out for the year or the 6 months of what it's going to take and the sacrifices. But that goes two ways. You know, I might sit down with Lorraine and say, this is what I want to do, and she's incredibly supportive. But in the same way, if she comes to me and says, I want to do this, then, you know, you listen. And so again, I think that's probably one of the things to do. And again, getting friends to help out, where I've had people, you know, go to somebody and say, look, I know we're going out and we want to go out, but just so you know, this is where I'm at. And again, that's just the way it is. All right. And then of course you hang out. When you start to hang out with friends who do the cycling or your events, it makes it much easier. Something else that popped up was I heard somebody mention there the doubts. Doubts creeping in. So the challenge of a doubt. Maybe it's not possible. And we all have this little voice in our head sometimes. And what we say to ourselves actually makes a massive difference. All right, what we say to ourselves can make a massive difference. Come up here for a second while you're sitting there. Yeah, come on.
Come on.
Oh yeah, come on up. Oh God, right. Okay. Whew. All right, this is going to hurt. It usually hurts one of us, so I'm hoping it's not going to be me this time. All right. I want you to try something for me. I want you to try to take this pen out of my hand. That's all I want you to do. I want you to try to take the pen out of my hand. Okay?
Physically try and take the pen out of
Ooh,
your hand. Sorry.
that's very good. Very good. Try to take the pen out of my hand. Oh, perfect. All right. Can I just show you? To be pedantic, this is actually trying. All right, that's just being pedantic about it. But, thanks a million. Whenever I do this exercise, I get one of two reactions. He gave me both, which I'm amazed at. The first is take it from the elbow down, grab it. I've had people stamp on my feet, I've had people slap my hand, I've had people in the front row being hit with a pen. It's really bad. But my question is, why? Why do they grab? Or the second one is the sneak up approach. Why? What did they think I was going to do?
They thought it was a trick involved.
Yeah, thought I was going to pull my hand away. But I never said I was going to pull my hand away. I used one word and one word only to put an element of doubt into his head. And that word was, try. I want you to try this for me. I want you to try to take this out of my hand. And he went, God damn it, I'll get to it. And so we tend to create too much tension. And a lot of times, actually, people miss the pen completely and drop it on the ground. All right, because So again, think in terms of, instead of trying to do something, either do or don't. And so, again, what we say matters. And how we talk to ourselves matters. This is a really simple thing, right? Very, very simple. Don't look at my hand. Do not look at it. Take your attention completely away from my hand. What is the first thing we do? We look at the hand and go, don't look at it. All right? Wet paint, don't touch. All right? So we have this element that your brain can't think in negatives. It only thinks in thoughts. And yet we do this every week. God, I don't want to, I don't want to dehydrate. I don't want to crash. All right? I don't want to. And so we talk about all the things that we don't want. Start changing that. What do you want to get out of your rides next weekend? What do you want to get out of your swim? What do you want to get out of the run? What would make a good training session? What do you want? Forget what you don't want. I don't want to be tired. I had this with, again, for some reason I'm talking golf tonight a lot. I'm not sure why. I had a golfer travel all the way down. And we sat down and I said, so tell me what you want. What you really, really want. No, tell me what you want. What would you like me to help you improve? And he said, I just don't want to feel nervous on the first tee. Oh, okay. So tell me what you want, though. And he went, just don't want to feel nervous, like I'm anxious. I don't want to feel that. Tell me what you want. And it takes a while for us to actually think about things in a positive way sometimes. Well, actually what I want is to feel calm, relaxed, and confident on the first tee. Oh, okay, I've got some things that's going to help you feel confident and calm and relaxed. And so when we start to think about what we want, we start to come up with ways of achieving it. When we think about things that we might not be able to do or the negatives on it, our brain will go and find reasons why you're right. Just remember that. It's like YouTube. It will go and find reasons why you're right. And so it's really important what we think about in that way. Anyone, any questions on anything we've covered so far? So the doubts, how do we get rid of the doubts? You're going to have a doubt in your mind. One of the best things you can do is have a big red stop sign in your head or have a little voice that goes, stop! Just do that. Next time you hear something in your mind that's negative, just go, stop, and then replace it for something else. How you actually reframe something in your mind is vital, especially as we prepare for our events and our training on a weekly basis. I heard Sean Kelly being interviewed one time and I thought this was brilliant. Kelly was famous for one thing above all else, other than everything that he won and all the successes that he had. Anyone know what that might be? Sorry? We'll take that out of the video. He knows what he wants. Weather. Tough as nails. I read a quote one time that says, when you're sitting inside and you're looking through the window at the lashing rain outside, you know that Kelly is out there for hours with no gloves on. And that was the attitude, that was the mentality that people had. And we tend to do that. That can psych us out alone.
He said it in his book.
Yeah.
Bad weather. He was already elevating his potential to win.
And so
He knew that was going to knock out 90% of his.
this is exactly it. And so this is how he reframed it. Because when you said it, and I heard himself and Kirby were talking one time on Eurosport, and Kirby was going, but Sean, you love the bad weather. And he went, are you off your head? Like, I hated the bad weather. But I knew that when I turned up for an event and the weather was bad, you could discount 50% of the field immediately. And when it came down to the last 10K, you could discount the other 90%. So now I'm only racing against a handful of guys. I like my odds. And so all that is just a reframe. That doesn't make him any better or any more skillful, although he was, obviously. But what it does do is it elevates your mindset. So we can look at things in the positive way, but that takes energy. And what I found is that if you take a negative person and a positive person and you put them together for long enough, which has most influence, do you think? Negative changes positive person, or positive makes the negative person more positive? What do you reckon?
Negative wins every time.
Negative wins every time. Why? It requires no energy to be negative. It is incredibly easy to say, oh, you'll never do that. You can't achieve that. It's very easy to say, no, we'll never get that done. Very easy. That requires no energy. It requires energy to say, I can do this. And not only I can do it, I am doing it. I am doing it on a daily basis. I am that person. All right, I want to be. And so that's why the positive requires energy far greater than negative. And so if you have doubts, reframe it in your mind. Look to see what you can do. Have that stop in your head. And have a friend who actually is quite honest with you. Or a coach is usually quite good at this. If they hear you being negative, just say, stop. Football players, for some reason, I don't know why they seem to like this a lot more than others, but they might put an elastic band on their wrist. When they're being negative, they snap it. Brings you back in the moment and go, whoa, ow. And again, it's just to change your mindset, your state of mind at that point. Okay. 3 steps to creating systems that make your goals inevitable. All right. We've talked about this, but it's really important to put it down into the last 3 steps. Decide who you want to be. Again, going back to the likes of the James Clear book and habits and stuff, but more importantly, think about who you want to be. What do you want to be? All right, I want to be an athlete. What do athletes do? I want to be consistent with my training. So what do? You actually get up and you do your training. And each time you do, as Claire would say, it's a little vote for your brain to say, I am that person. So I'm the sort of person who trains consistently. I'm the sort of person who can stick to a good nutritional plan. All right? And once we do that, everything that we start to do after it feeds back into that system, and we start to believe it, and we start to become it, and it becomes much easier then for us to achieve success. All right. Identify the habits for success. What's required in order for you to get there? What do you want to do? Not need to do, by the way. Remember I said language matters? Whenever you say to yourself, I need to get up and I need to train, what happens? All right? So that need, every time we say I need to do this, it really actually comes against it blocks our motivation. So what can we change it instead? Instead of looking at, I need to do this, I have an opportunity to do it. I've got an opportunity to go out this morning. Isn't this great? All right? And so, or I want to do this. The moment you start saying need, then you run into issues. Even words like, I should go out now. If we're on the bike together and we're in the last couple of K and we're coming into a town sign and we're going to sprint for it, I might turn to you and go, you should win this today now. And you got the little git, right? You should do this now. You're training a lot more than I am. Yeah, you should definitely do this. The word should alone actually puts pressure on us. And yet we do it to ourselves all the time. I should be doing this. I should be training more. I should be eating well. All right? And so when we do that, we actually put pressure on. So when an athlete comes in and sits down with me and we talk about it, say a boxer comes in and sits down and they've got a fight coming up and they go, I should win this. Alarm bells go off. And I go, okay. Let's look at it in a different way. Instead of using the word should, what can we switch it to? The word could. There's a great book by Steve Peters, Chimp Paradox. A little heavy going, but it's still a good book. And so it's this idea of the chimp, where you've got your brain, your mind is split into 3. You have the human part, logical part. We're all sitting here listening to me. You're listening to me now. And you go, that makes perfect sense. Of course I can train. Absolutely. Of course I can get it done. Of course I can change my nutrition. And you've got the computer part of the brain going, yeah, you have everything you need. You've done it before. We can do it again. We just have the system. And then you've got the chimp that jumps up and down and going, we tried this before and it didn't work. And it becomes awake. And so it's how you manage that. Again, looking at the word should, if we change it to could. So if somebody comes in and says, I should be able to finish this event. You could finish the event. That allows us then to go, how? You could finish this event. You could win this fight. If the training is right, if the nutrition is right, if you get there on time, if you put this effort in, you could definitely win it. And so again, it's how we start to change it. People say, no such thing as a stupid question. I've been to loads of presentations. I don't put that up anymore. You know, we used to put up questions at the end. So I mean, questions. And then you say to people, there's no such thing as a stupid question. I'm here to tell you, yes, there is plenty. All right? They usually start with why. All right, why am I so fat? Why can't I lose any weight? Why can't I stick to a diet? And we ask questions like this all the time. Why do I sabotage myself all the time? Your brain is extremely clever. Goes in search of an answer. It goes, I have the answer, I have the answer, I have the answer. It's because you're lazy. All right? It's because it's genetics. It's because. And none of the answers will ever motivate you to actually move and do what you're supposed to do. So instead of changing the question from why, or having the question why don't we change it to how can I do this? How can I give myself the best advantage coming into this? And create that as your list. So if you see or hear yourself asking questions like, why am I like this? Identify the habits of success. If you don't know what those habits are, look to see what they are from other people. Last little diagram on the page. Oh, I'm going through the pages tonight. That's great. Last little diagram. Here's you on the bottom. Here's a mountain. There's your flag at the top. This is your event. This is where you want to get to. Okay? You're down at the bottom. Somebody has climbed this mountain. They've never done it before. They climb from the bottom to the top, and it takes them 4 hours to do it. You sit down with them afterwards. You're at the exact same fitness level. You sit down and you have a chat with them. Is it going to take you less time, the same amount of time, or more time to do that mountain if you now take it on? Less. Why? Motivated. What else? Experience. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to talk to somebody who says, don't go here. I did that, waste of time. All right? Don't follow that nutrition plan, waste of time. Or don't do that particular exercise. Or don't burn yourself out. They'll say, right here, this is Christmas. Here's your boulder. So this is the boulders on the way, right? And when I know where the boulders are, then I can find a way around it. Because you have the experience. So one of the first things we did, Race Across America, we have our first training camp where we invite everybody down, right? So we've got 12 people there, actually we brought in 13 people there to train for this. And the very first thing I did was I contacted a guy up north called Joey Dunlop, not the motorcyclist, an actual guy who was part of a 4-person team who did Race Across America. And I invited him down to the camp. And when I say we questioned him for a weekend, we questioned him for a weekend. What would you do differently? How did the cars work out? What did you eat? What would you change? How would that go? And so it meant that we had a better road map. Of course we were going to take time off them. No offense, but when you have somebody saying to you, oh, we only took 1 car. If we had 2 cars, we would have gone hours faster. Then my God, of course we're going to have 2 cars. So find out who's achieved that. You know, we're talking about the events. I'm bringing the 312 up only because I've done it a few times. Not the 312, that's way too far. I've done the 167 and absolutely loved it. It's a great event. But again, finding somebody who's done it and looking to see what or how they achieved it. And it gives you a map. Now, does that mean it's going to work exactly for you? No, because you're different in that sense. But it's going to give you a better opportunity. The other thing I'd say on this mountain, by the way, is stop off sometimes and have a look around and actually enjoy the journey. And say, if it's good here, what is it like at the top? We don't do that half enough. Because we push to the top. Let's get to the top of the mountain. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And then we get there and it's a big anticlimax. And you're sitting there the next day going, what just happened? The amount of people that I speak to a week after an event and go, I don't know what happened to me. I'm at a loss now. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had that downer after an event? All right? Yeah, I've had that. We've all had it. All right? So again, find somebody who's done it. But take the little rests along the way as well and go, haven't I done well? One of the best explanations I heard about this is a business coach I'd work with, Dan Sullivan. And he talks about what he calls the gap, where we're all focused on the horizon. We want to get to the horizon. That's our ultimate dream. We want to get to the horizon. And so we get in our little rowing boat and we row like mad to get to the horizon. And then we keep going. And it doesn't feel like we got anywhere. And it's because we live in the gap between where we are in the boat and the horizon. But we don't actually see all the markers we've hit along the way. Now, other people will say to you, oh my God, you've done so well. How much weight have you lost? Oh my God, you look amazing. And you've done 100 mile. Wow, that's so far. How did you do that? And you'll go, it's nothing really. So you want to see what some of the other lads are doing. All right, it's because we are living in the gap. But they can see it. And the reason why they can see it is they're standing on the shoreline going, look how far he's gone. All right, look where she's out. Amazing. So now and again, take a moment just to sit down and go, this is really cool. And if it's really cool here, what the hell is it going to be like when I actually get to the top? So identify the habits for success. If you don't know what they are, speak to people who've achieved it, get their habits and start to identify. And then control the friction. Friction is basically anything that stops you from moving forward on what you want to do. You get up in the morning, you're going to do your training session, you get up and you go, right, what shorts am I going to wear? Will I wear the new shorts? Maybe I won't wear the new shorts because we're doing 100. Will I go for all friction? Suddenly you'll go, screw it, I'll go tomorrow. All right? This is why I have my list. This is why I have the gear ready the night before. And people might say, you should take it very serious for a guy who's just gone out with a group of mates. This is why, one of the reasons why I do it. It's because it just makes it easier. There is no friction. I don't have to think about it. So you should, in theory, fall out of bed into your shorts. Fall out of bed into your runners. And get up and go out. And so that's what we talk about, the friction. And so that for me, I think is a huge part of it. So finally, organizing your environment. It's up to you in terms of how you do your training. I would be organizing the environment in terms of if you're coming in to, if you normally come in the evening and you watch the shows or whatever and it's mindless, you might decide that actually I'm going to train before I even put the TV on. James Clear gave this a great example of remote control, let's say. Increase the friction by what? Taking the batteries out of the remote control, put the batteries one side of the room and the remote control the other. You can still watch the TV, you just have to put the controllers back together again. And it's enough to increase the friction to go, I'll be fine, I'll do something else instead. Chocolate, all right, love chocolate, absolutely love chocolate. I found that if I keep it out in the shed, it's a good place to have it, I can still eat it, but I gotta get up off my ass, I gotta go outside in the cold and freezing. Do I still do it? Oh yeah, sometimes. But there are times sometimes when it's enough friction for me not to do it. So again, organize your environment to make it easier for you to do this and harder for you to do this. Have the fruit where you can see it and it's easier to do than these in front of you. Just remember to improve your thing. Finishing up, I have a book online, Ride On, the Art and Science of Motivation for Cyclists. And that should work, I think, if anybody wants it. It's a free book. You can download it. We'll probably send it out in notes at some stage anyway. So for me, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover tonight. And that's not bad timing, in fairness. So before we end, just within the last minute or so, before we end just in the last minute, tell me some of the things you might have taken from tonight. Just give me one or two things. Somebody out there, just tell me one or two things you might have taken from tonight. What have you taken from tonight?
A lot of things. Just motivation is probably the key thing, I think, for me.
Okay.
Just,
excellent.
unblock things for myself.
I love that idea. Look to unblock things. Make things as smooth as possible. Anything else? What have you taken from tonight?
Preparation.
Preparation. Yeah. Absolutely key. Yeah, absolutely key. And it only takes a little bit of time to actually write stuff down. And I'd have it in front of you. The other thing that people do is they write their goals out and they put it in a drawer and they never look at it again. Or they look at it the next year and go, yeah, do you remember I was going to do that? Don't do that. I'd have it up on the wall in front of me, what you're going to do. And I think that's it. So the preparation, you can influence your own motivation. The habits are hugely successful. And for me tonight, we'll end it at that. Oh, I meant to tell everybody, by the way. Yeah, Robbie, sorry if you want to come in on that.
Just there's a free bottle there for everyone, and also there's still 20% off the clothing. And just your list thing, remember, I work with Alan at the Rally Academy, and the thing about the joy is about the supermarkets. So when the lads are going abroad, they actually go through the supermarkets to see. So when Aoife was in Spain, so when she was rallying in Spain, she actually went into her town, used Google Maps, and this is what they're
This is before she went.
This is their planning now. They're actually checking to see which supermarkets are where and what time the supermarket's open. So if they're late at night, they know where to go, because as Aoife once said to me, she was, 2.5 hours driving around the town to find the supermarket. So those that are going off to do the 312, perhaps a suggestion for yourselves is when you do go abroad, see what supermarkets or what restaurants are in your location, and more importantly, what type of foods those restaurants serve, because you don't want to go to a place and you find, well, I don't like fish, but yet it only serves fish.
And never try anything new. Everybody says this, oh, you don't try anything new. You'd be amazed. I've had people who changed their cleats the night before a race around Ireland as a solo rider. And they'll get as far as Donegal, and then they have the worst knee injury they've ever had in their life. So don't change anything. Supplements, you know, if you're going to come in and get supplements, make sure that you bring those supplements with you as well if you can, because again, you don't want anything new or different when you go over. But yeah, Robbie, I mean, nowadays it's so easy to see locations and see what's there. And also people are really good in terms of asking advice. I'd definitely be messaging someone, and if anybody has a message for any of us, just message me on if you've got a question or something. Great stuff. Well done. Very best of luck with your events this year. You know what you're looking to do now is just plan it out. Don't rely on the motivation. Get the habits going. Start to interact with other people. And I'd love to see how you get on later on in the year. So, great stuff.